Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are back. How are
Yes,
you, Chris?
sir. Yes, sir. Hey, quarters. I'm good. Pleasantly surprised. The Sharks did got a win. The Boks obviously went back to default. So, yeah, I'm good, man. How you?
Yeah, but the question is, are we happy with default? That's. I think we'll dig into that. I'm fine myself. The Dan Carters of
Yeah.
podcasting here to give you our
hmm
opinions, our flagrant takes. Share your opinions with us, obviously, in the comment section. And yeah, church announcements. You can find us here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the socials. And yeah, subscribe. We're almost on 500 subscribers. I think let's start with news. The squad. I don't even think you really have to mention it because it's kind
Yeah.
of more of the same. There isn't anyone there that's standing out to say, okay, this guy is back in, that guy's back in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more much of the same. I think it's good to see Ethan Hooker. I think maybe that's like one to mention, that
Yeah, actually,
he's
sorry, just to interrupt. He was supposed to actually play in the Cape Town test, but because they
uh,
lost, they had to now scrap.
they pushed the
I think Mone van der
mm,
Berg was supposed to play, Hooker was also supposed to play, so they had to sort of put those guys on the back burner. And yeah, like you said, hopefully he might get a chance in New Zealand.
mm, yeah, yeah. So like you said, not really much to talk about otherwise, other than, you know, you expecting. Look, I think everybody knows that this rugby championship is very tricky. It's tough,
Yeah.
especially this edition. From what you've
Yeah, it's
seen in
not
the
the
past
Six
2 weeks. I
Nations.
mean,
It's not,
even
yeah, it's not easy.
yeah, I mean, even this past weekend, you saw that it wasn't all the Boks way. And, in some aspects, if you take a different view, Australia make different decisions. It's even tighter, than what
Yeah.
it was. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, what the New Zealand league is going to bring.
Yeah, for me, I think I just would have liked to see a guy like Jaden Hendricks being included. Just for that I feel like Reinach and Grant Williams are a bit too similar. And then I mean
Mm,
even Fair Flight is also it's high tempo, high pace players. It's nothing
yeah,
different that you're gonna get from either of them. Besides that, a player that isn't going on tour, Ntlabakanye, he's not even suspended. He's not suspended, but they've
yeah,
just basically given him time to fight his case. They found,
mm,
irregularities in some of his testing. But I
I,
think what has to be said is the fact that it was prescribed by a doctor and he did let them
yeah,
know. So I don't think,
yeah.
you see people throwing around that he's on steroids. And it was also said that this was something that was not for competitive advantage,
Mm,
which means this
mm.
could be like asthma medication or something. This could be like
Yeah,
high blood pressure
Herbalife.
it's yeah, you know what I mean. So, and it was prescribed by a doctor. You
Ah,
got people saying, is it a Rabada situation? Is it what? Your doctor's
ah,
not going to be giving you that kind of stuff. You know
giving
what I mean?
you, he's not going to be giving you that kind of, not that doctor, not that
Yeah,
doctor. But look, I think that'll, get cleared up. Just
yeah,
interesting with the timing as well. And I mean, especially, the circumstances around it. I mean, he let them know there's nothing that is, in question really. So I don't even know why it has to be a thing to be honest. If you think about it,
yeah.
it,
Like I said, he's not even
it- you
suspended.
know,
He could have actually gone and
yeah,
played.
yeah. So it's not even it shouldn't even be a thing. So it's just interesting. I'll just leave it there. You know, I don't want to dive into other, but it's just interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, let's get into the game. The backdrop of this game, you've got Sia out, Peter Steph du Toit out,
Mm.
Ox the only black player there, and then we had Willie LaRue dropping out, and then Fassi came in. Uh,
Yeah.
but besides that, Jean-Luc Dupree, he was replaced late by Kwaka. Esther Hazen
Mm.
was put on the bench, which, hey man,
Mm.
I don't. I'm not the biggest fan of Esterhazen covering flank as he did. I think we should just put a flank. I'm not the Ruiz guy that's gonna be saying, "Oh, Ruiz is snubbed," but it's if you're him, you've got to feel like what
Yeah,
was
I
Rassie?
was about to say that. I was about to say that. Like, if you him, you're gonna think, but no, but I'm the specialist. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like if you're
yeah.
loose forward, you're thinking no, but I'm a loose forward. You know what I mean? Like my primary job is loose forward. You know, so but alas,
But anyway, we move on. And in this game, I think from the beginning, it was evident what was happening. We moved back to more
yeah,
kick. We are more intentional with kicking and chasing as opposed
yeah,
to running. It can be viewed as a regression in the game plan, like how you said we reverted to default settings. I won't. I'll be honest, stepping away from that game, it felt like a loss to me. The mood that I was in, and I saw some people also
mm,
saying that at the stadium that the mood around it was like, yeah, we won, but it feels like we were deflated because of how close it
yeah,
was, and because of the fact that we reverted to that old style that's supposed to be the one where we this is just to get the job done, and that's all that you thought we would be more dominant when we do that. We thought we'd be more
yeah,
dominant. We'd completely close them out the game when we do that. When
yeah,
we're more intentional about kick chase. We're just gonna do
yeah,
carries. We're just gonna grind it out. That would be more definitive. But it wasn't. Like you said, James
mm,
O'Connor, he had the opportunity to take the lead deep in the second half. It
mm,
could have a kick just goes a little bit this way, but I mean we got the job done. Like I said, to
yeah,
me, it did feel like a bit of a loss in that we regressed in terms of playing style, and even in doing that, we weren't dominant.
yeah. And look, I think as well, partly you also have to note the conditions of the pitch. You
Yeah,
know, it looked, yes, when the games before the game started, it looked, you know, good, pristine condition. But once the heavy traffic started moving around there, you started seeing how muddy it was, and you could, it's a bit wet, and you can understand,
yeah,
why you go that route. And I mean, it paid off in some parts, but for the most part, the way that Australia were dealing with those kicks, yes, initially in the first up, we put them under pressure. We got the 3 points, but they wingers, I think they did a good job with contesting in the air. It doesn't
yeah,
all Boks, in terms of dominating the airspace, and even if there was a sort of dominant hit afterwards, they were able to break out, and try and use their counter attack, which we saw quite a lot of, and if they were accurate enough,
yeah,
it's like I said, it's the different story. So I can understand, why there'd be that feeling of like, yes, we won, but there's something that's just not quite you know settled,
yeah.
looking from the outside. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they're still trying to, I think, find their way, of integrating uh Tony Ball in there, and I think finding the balance in how, when to unleash,
But there was
and
no balance. There was no balance. We went
yeah.
completely from one way, and then we swung to another way.
Mm.
So there
And
was
look,
no.
when they did try quarters, but they did try, and there was mistakes. You know what I mean? Where when they were trying to get the ball out, handling errors, um,
Nah,
uh,
those guys didn't even try. And again,
sort
it
of
goes
launch
to
attempts. You know?
this is also again this is a thing where it's like you pick Pollard at 10, we know man of the match, the points tallied up, 100% kicking.
Yeah,
But what you don't
yeah,
get is the backline is going to be static, and you
mm,
see him passing passes behind players. You see it's just not it's just we didn't see any enterprising running from the box. The only time we did see it was when it was like center play, and he didn't have Willie Leroux there to come in as that playmaker. So then who's gonna
mm.
be the playmaker?
Yeah,
Damien
and that's
Delaney is not
where,
going to be the playmaker. Jay-Z Creel is not going to be the
yeah,
playmaker. Fassi
yeah, and that's
Fassi
where you expect.
plays. Fassi's
Yeah,
not going to come into the line as a second pivot. So it's
mm,
we were lacking playmaking, but obviously what they wanted is the kicking game, and we got that, and we got the points from that.
Yeah,
But again,
yeah,
like you said, you're trying to find the balance, but it doesn't seem like there's a balance. You just went from one straight to another one, and
yeah,
then it begs the question of what are we gonna do in New Zealand? And I think it's gonna be more of what we saw in Cape Town instead of we're gonna put up these kicks. We're gonna be intentional with the chase. Cheslin Colby was great with the chase.
yeah.
Some of them, like you said, Australia ball players, they just beat that. They beat that. In the air, they get the ball, or what lands up happening is they
Wow.
land up moving the ball. The guy gets
Mm,
tackled, but he frees the arms. And I think that's what we saw for that try where they ruled it
mm.
a knock on, where they put pressure on Pollard.
Knock on.
Was that
Yeah,
again they put the pressure on, but the guy that was tackled was able to release the ball down the touchline, and they attack. And I think also the thing for Australia, watching Australia also, was that they were the more enterprising team. They were the team that was more sharp. They were the team that they weren't necessarily. I mean, in the second half, Valentini got the pick and drive going, and they
yeah.
did get game line success, but they were more sharp. You look at that try where
Mm.
free kick from the scrum, we all sleeping, they catch
Quick.
us behind. The
Mm.
other set piece try where they kick the ball, they're more sharp and they're more enterprising. You look at us,
Yeah,
it's kind of flat. It's methodical. It worked, but it almost didn't.
but yeah. And do you think it's I was thinking about that. Is it also maybe a result of there's been so many different sort of changes,
Yes.
with personnel as well. At some point, you're bound to have that sort of, I think, that lull, and I see it as that's where they're trying to get you to say at any stage anybody must be able to play and play at a certain level, and that's where I think they're missing that. That's what's missing, and
Yeah.
also as evident as it was, the balance in that game of being able to really be lethal, with ball in hand, but also the execution of the kicking game, that variation. I think maybe that's the term that they use, is to have that variation on attack. And
Yeah.
yeah, there wasn't really much. And yes, you'll see, the solid performances from Dialende and, with the carries. But, yes, there was that little line break, putting Jesse Krill in the gap, you're seeing little glimpses. And it's just, for me, it's the big thing is that they're just not able to be consistent in that. And it's going to come down to the personnel. It's because that's what it is now.
Yeah.
It's really about, okay, like you say, you wonder what you're going to find in New Zealand, what they're going to dish out in New Zealand. Um, and for me, I don't think that you can just solely go there and try and go to New Zealand and just kick, and to try use that pressure game, because they would have seen, how Australia were able to diffuse the pressure and
Yeah.
transfer the pressure immediately, So for me, it's that's why I say it's just
Yeah.
they're not settled, and yeah, it's expected because of all the different things that they're trying, and with obviously Tony Ball, because what you've seen is that the default, yes, it got us the result,
Yeah.
but there's that but, where it's like on a different day you don't get that result,
Yeah. You
and
don't.
you
And
don't want to leave room
yeah.
for that.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of the amount of players the amount of players that we're using, in that there were only five starters retained. So
Mm,
there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes midweek. Obviously, we don't know if it's Rassie's mind games or whatever it is, in that you've got Villy in, next thing he's out. You've got Jean-Luc
mm,
finally gonna play, and then he's not playing, and then Esterhazen is there.
oh,
So now you've
mm,
got massive changes in players. You've got injuries. You've got Sia out. You've got Peter Steph out. And then on top of
yeah.
it, you've got players that are not in form. Damian Philipson is not in form. Kanan Moody, this is the first time in a long time you've seen him, he's not in great form. You've got
Mm,
guys that it's a combination of the changes and the form, and it's not creating a good environment where now you're looking like, okay, these guys are actually playing. If you look at players that are
Yeah,
that are in form and are playing, it's few and far between. It really is. And
yeah,
then you're going into like we talk about personnel. You want to play that kick chase game. You want to play that carries game. You're talking about personnel. You've got Nokia there that is just not physical enough to he can play in that type of game when we've got Visa playing eight. But now we
mm,
don't have Visa playing eight. We've got Kofi playing eight. He's a different type of player. You can have
mm,
Nokia there when you've got Sia playing six, when you've got Peter Steph playing at seven. But now we don't. We don't have those players there. So now we're getting lighter and lighter in the forward pack. So guys like that, the weaknesses are being exposed even more, where you can see the lack of physicality in the forward pack. So when you say personnel,
yeah,
I think that's also an issue, and it's like we don't have the real steel, the heavy Owens. We don't we
yeah,
don't we don't we don't have those guys. So that's the thing when we go now to New Zealand, that's when you need Sia to come back. You need Peter Steph to come back. Visa,
yeah,
I think they're just sick of Visa. They just left him like, no, you can remain. But that's when you talk about personnel, I think that's a big thing as well.
yeah. It is, and like you say, so you need all your big hitters, And I thought like this past weekend, some of the big hitters like Ox, I think he had a good game.
Yeah, actually, Boks
Marks
was
as
for me
well
man of match, like in play. Obviously he
in
doesn't
play.
kick, so
Yeah, but yeah, for I think Ox was massive. Then you saw Marks as well getting in there in the breakdowns, and you can see, look, he's your form number two. He's at the
yeah,
moment he's your best. I think Thomas Dutour had a solid shift as well. I think you
yeah,
also
yeah.
saw the difference with RG. At number four with the carries. That's I think a different
But he
type
had
of
too
body.
few
You
carries,
know,
man. For me, he did. I think it was the first try. He
yeah,
he he put pressure on the ground there to get the steal, but the carries he didn't have much. And I think we saw
yeah,
the
but
difference when Luit and Etzebeth came in, and
yeah.
there was more steel up front then.
Yeah, yeah, and then Marco van Staden, I think, I think since the incoming series when he got those back-to-back games, so you've just
Yeah,
seen, how influential he is, and yes, that Joburg test, he came off, he came back on, he wasn't quite, be himself. But then this test, consistent throughout,
yeah,
and you saw the ball security, we had better ball security. I think you could see the focus on getting guys to the breakdown and, really cleaning and doing the best to try and disrupt the Australian ball as well. So yes, as much as yes, getting lighter and lighter, but I think just from an industry point of view, there was massive effort. Mustard as well. I think you could see Universal Soldier. That he's back from the ice chamber. He's out of the ice chamber. He's he's looking like he's trying to, as much as a lot of these guys, the clock is definitely ticking. But
yeah,
you're seeing that, and yeah, there's not much really, outside of the fact that when they did get a roll on, you saw that okay, there was sort of better, like you say, they were more intentional, in terms of what they wanted to do with the carries when
yeah,
they executed it. Even you saw that with the Kwacha try as well. I quite like that. It was just continuous waves and waves and momentum, where they just couldn't be stopped, but they didn't get enough of that,
yeah.
and that's for me. That's where it goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's just it's not settled,
Yeah, I think
so
that's the
yeah,
sentiment where it's like you like those kinds of things, and it's like if we're gonna go with this game plan, then we have to go all the way. We can't
yeah,
we can't do it. We can't do this plan and half execute it. And I think that's what
mm,
we saw on Saturday was that we did this plan, but we half executed it. We were good at certain things, but we needed more domination. In terms of scrums,
mm,
both games, we didn't really get domination.
yeah,
And these are the things that if we're gonna fall back on traditional strengths, we need a strong set piece. The lineouts were fixed. I didn't even mark down how many because I think I only saw like one or two disruptions. But in terms of we need a strong set piece, we need a strong line out, strong scrum, get that kick chase. We can't fall victim to scrambling at the back there. You know, that try where we don't know who's covering at the back. The back three still don't
Mm.
know. It looks like they don't know what's going on there. Because I mean, it was that try
Yeah.
for the free kick. There was no one in behind. That try
Mm.
where Moody had to sweep and cover. There was no one in behind. So you need to
Yeah.
be set. If we're gonna go this way, then we must fully go this way.
Yeah. Yeah. But then a key part of it goes back to what I was saying last week is that we no longer have the best defense in the world, you
Yeah,
know, and and I think that's a key part of it, you know. So look, at the end of the day, you got the win, you know, backs against the wall, yes, you know, got the result that you wanted. Not really, you know, because you could only manage 4 points, not a full house, you know, whereas
yeah,
Australia bonus you at home, you know, the week before. So, hey, there's a lot of where, yeah, it just, I think, yeah, it heals the previous result, but not really by much because I think there's still a lot of things that the Boks need to sort out. Otherwise, it's
yeah.
going to be tough to beat New Zealand in New Zealand. You know.
Yeah, I think also we really need the healing hands on Sia. We need the healing hands on Peter Steph because
Yeah, man,
if
it needs
you
to
know we
go.
need those guys to front up. I think
Yeah.
even in the substitution it was quite interesting to see Fassi go to the wing and put Sasha at fullback. I think that's something that
Mm.
we could see again. I think that worked out
Sasha
better than
becomes. I think
last week.
Sasha becomes important because he potentially has the capability. You know, if they're going to go this route with Pollard at 10, um, for Sasha to be that, you know, second pivot coming in to, you know, to provide the link ups, to put, you
Yeah,
know, to put pace on the ball, you know, because I think that's where now he starts becoming important and potentially with Fassi, I think he had a solid game, especially on attack, you know, where you saw, you know, he could, you know, get us that momentum, you know, it just
yeah,
I think he's finding his feet. You know, he's getting there. Um, and yeah, yes, it was an injury that forced him to go to the wing, but you know, I think him either wing or fullback. I think he's still good enough. If you're gonna have, I think if you are going to have Sasha coming in at 15, then you would want a strong left-footed kicker on the wing that can also bring you a bit of counter attack. I think Fassi can do that. You know,
yeah.
yeah. So it'll be interesting. Like, hey, but it doesn't feel like you say. It doesn't feel like you know you've got that big momentum, and maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that is a good thing because it's seriously now back to the drawing board to say that yeah, the
Hey man,
default, yes, it works
yeah, and if we're gonna go back, we must go back. I don't want to hear this thing of
fully.
like, uh,
Yeah,
even the thing of the youth. Oh no, younger players. What? For me, let's just throw in the guys that played as many of the guys that played in the last two World Cups. Let's
yeah,
play those guys until they're not good enough to play. Because
yeah,
now we're trying too many combinations, young guy, old
yeah.
guy next to each other, and we see it's not working. How good did Dialendi and Creel look compared to Esterhuizen
Mm,
and Creel? It looked okay.
yeah.
Well,
Look
I'd
there.
say it looked different. It looked what we were used to. So we can't continue to say like, oh, young, bold youth, whatever, and then we put in combinations and it's not working on match day, and then we're coming back and we're like,
Yeah,
but we're not happy with this.
yeah, and that's why like at the end of the day, it's like this. It's we want as the public and even as the team, I'm sure the result is what matters, the win. You know, I was
Yeah,
thinking about that to say at the end of the day, you know, if it's all about this is a test match, it's not club rugby and whatever. You gotta decide if you're gonna be that boring team, be that boring team, you know.
yeah,
And and like you say, if you're gonna go this way, go all in, you know. But then the guys as well, they have to be sharp to be able to deliver that game plan back to back because it's not easy. We've seen it where it's hard for the Boks playing it the way that they play to do back to back if they go with that route where it's just physical attrition. kick chase,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I say, there's a lot to improve on, definitely, and maybe it's a good thing that it doesn't feel like, yeah, no, okay, look, you know that they can do it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The thing is this is that you know that they can do it. You just you're just wondering, whether this time around, they with all the circumstances surrounding this whole tournament with the Boks, will they be able to do it? You know, um, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
2
the
weeks is
heat
a
is
long time in
on.
rugby.
Yeah,
It
it is.
is. I believe
The heat
so.
is on
I
now.
believe so.
Yeah, it's very pivotal. And I mean, obviously, with New Zealand losing, it it makes it, because otherwise we were
Yeah,
done. I thought we were done. But now New Zealand
yeah,
lost. It opens up things a bit more for us to, we can still win this thing. Last week it
yeah,
was looking like, we cooked, we done. So we can still
yeah,
win this thing. We just need to if they're gonna continue with, they'll just tell Tony, just sit there with the iPad. You can play solitaire. You can be on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you want to do, because we're not gonna be doing that style. Or fully commit and say,
yeah.
okay, Tony, yeah, no, we're gonna go with you, and then
No, I'm with you.
yeah.
Mm.
So I
That's
just think
it.
there has to be, like you said, a balance. There is no balance right now. It just seems to be one or the other.
Yeah. You see, so yeah, and I think this is actually this is a big moment in SA rugby coming up.
Hmm.
New Zealand, this New Zealand leg of the championship. I think this is as much as, yes, you can't take away the back-to-back World Cups, but you know,
Yeah.
this is something. Yeah, it's a defining moment, really. Where
Yeah, you're only
it'll
as good as your
define.
last game. You're only as good as your last
Yeah,
game. So
you see, that's why I'm saying that I think it's a defining one, because
yeah.
if they can do this and pull it off undeniably, then you can't take it away from them. That definitely best team in the world, But
Yeah.
yeah, hey,
Australia
maybe
for
they need some of that Poland magic, maybe
yeah.
they need some of that Poland magic. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to touch on Curry Cup. I was only able to catch a few highlights. It seemed like it was a week of comebacks.
Yeah, look, okay. Week of comebacks. I also caught a bit of highlights, but I'm just glad, like I said earlier, the Sharks won. I think you know what we mentioned that other week. Sugar Ray Tolu Stadium. Yes, it was good to
Yeah.
to the community, but I think you saw the difference with them playing at Kings Park. I think that um that gives them an extra boost. I think that was also a difference there.
Mm.
And then the cat fight, lions, cheaters. Wow,
But that one
that's
is tough because it's hard to go away back to back.
yeah,
It's hard to go away back to back. They were also playing, I think, at Nelspruit Rugby Club or something, and then they had to
yes,
go to the Cheetahs. So it's tough to get back to back wins in this competition.
yeah, and they were in it. I think there's a lot of things that they'll be disappointed about, Lions perspective, and then uh the Greek was doing a number on the pools. That was look,
Yeah, I've
and
never
that
been
was
so
that's a
wrong
big
about the
number.
Bulls. I've never been so wrong.
Yeah, look, the surprise, like the implosion that it just keeps on imploding. And then for me, Poland, they never say die. That one. No, like I said, no, God's got this team, man, because they at one stage they looked dead and buried. They
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
They Lazarus, Lazarus came about. You know what I mean? Because wow,
yeah,
they got the job done, and I think even a bonus point away from home, and looking at, I think it's like two more rounds left of Curry Cup,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so and up to, I think, is it up to sixth place, up to where the Bulls are. It's anybody's game,
yeah.
anybody can make it, and I mean even the Sharks could possibly sneak in. May by may, but
But
a
you're
lot will
seeing
need to happen. So
Boland
many.
this week, so we don't know about that one. We don't know
Hey,
about that one.
Look,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
Poland have got two more games. It's Sharks
mm,
and Province. So, the Sharks, maybe they'll just get 1 point of the Sharks, or maybe two, try and within three, and then within seven, and then, yeah, they'll get a full house against Province. So that I'm here for Poland as well, I'm
yeah.
here for Poland as well. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's the Cheetahs hosting Griquas. That one, big derby there. Then you've got Lions hosting
Mm,
Bulls, another big
that's
derby
another one.
there. Sharks hosting Poland, and then Province are gonna lose to the Pumas.
Look, this Curry Cup is, I think, one of the most interesting Curry Cups. Two
Yeah,
coastal teams at the bottom. Even and then even the Bulls, the Lions, and then every like all the so-called smaller unions.
yeah,
They seem to be leading the charge. So it's good to see. But again, I think as we touched on it, a result of I think these guys playing SA Cup and being together
yeah,
longer, more clearer. So it's a challenge for the other guys, but I'm here for the underdogs. I'm here for the underdogs.
yeah. No, I think it might just stay as it is with Cheetahs, Poland, Griquas, and Lions. I think it's
Yeah, it could,
might stay like that. But
could,
I think any
could.
closing words from you, Chris?
Look, it's like this. If you want to win, at the end of the day, winning test matches, they got the result. And if this is the way that they're going to go, we must accept, you know.
Yeah,
And like we've said, they got to back it, go all in. So, yeah, it's go
yeah.
big or go home.
Yeah, we need some good news. It's always this guy's dropped out, this guy is injured, this guy
Yeah,
is fighting
yeah,
doping cases. We need some good news. We need I guess Sia coming back is good news, but we need some good news, man. And then I think from
yeah,
from
yeah.
from there we'll start getting into things. And I'm as deflated as it felt this past week, I'm actually optimistic for the New Zealand leg, and I think we'll get at least one win. I
Yeah.
believe we'll get at least one win, possibly sneak two. But that's it
Mm.
from us. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening.
We out. We out.